In the past year, I have read several books about aging and menopause, and that have tingled my brain. And one of the things that a lot of things that I've read talk about the importance of laughter as as you age. That laughter is healing. And so when I learned about Emily Harris and her Spirited Fun Improv program that she created for women in their prime, I knew I had to have her as a guest on the podcast. So Emily, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, you're welcome, Tracy. Thank you for asking me to come.
Um, I, I, I'm just fascinated by what you do and just improv in general, because that that's how did you get into improv?
I got into improv when I was 4 years old. My mother signed me up. It was called Creative Dramatics at the time.
Mhm.
I still have memories of doing the different animals. I especially remember the monkey because I was always climbing over everything. And how, with a group of people, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And I also came back to it at different times in my life. Most recently, 5 years ago, and especially when I turned 70.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah.
It really came back in a way that it's never come back before, in a way that it became my passion. I've never had a passion before. I've had interest, but I've never had a passion. It just hit me that this is the gift that I can really take out into the world.
Ah, I love it.
I've been real fortunate because everything has aligned to help it happen.
Mhm.
People have come in, friends have come aboard, they've supported me. I started an improv class, my own group, because I wanted to be in a group of people who were the same age as I was. Because when you do improv, you're always delving into your memory bank.
Sure. Yeah.
And when I was in improv classes with mostly younger people, we had way different memory banks, way different databases.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't connecting. So I invited some friends to just join in it, do some improv together.
Mhm.
That was 2 weeks before COVID hit.
Oh my goodness.
But I had a lot of Zoom experience. So I a week later, it was supposed to be a 6 week class just to try it, see. These were all storytelling friends of mine from Florida and Ohio and Indiana and other places. We all got together online, and after this 6 weeks of improv, starting out just locally in Pittsburgh, was over, everybody wanted to continue. And that was in April of 2020. And we've been going strong every Sunday since.
Wow. Wow. What a great way to connect.
I've been taking classes online as well
Mhm.
because a lot of things in improv had to be adapted. But it's amazing how well it works.
Before you get into how well it works, um, I, I don't want to assume that everybody knows what is improv. So,
Hmm.
um, if somebody's done acting before, they probably have tried that. But from your perspective, give me your definition. Tell me what improv is.
Improv is about focusing on somebody else. It's about taking care of someone else to get out of your own head.
Ooh, I like that.
You focus on your partner, you make them look good, you listen carefully to what they're saying in the moment.
Mhm.
You respond in a way that builds them up, validates what they've said. They in turn do that for you. So everybody looks brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's sharing their own experiences because that's what we've got. That's our tools, those are our materials. in improv. And this saying yes and, which if anybody's heard about improv, they've heard about the yes and.
Sure. Yeah.
That is listening, agreeing what's being offered, responding with something that adds to it so that the conversation can continue.
Mm.
A lot of people think improv is comedy.
Sure. People may be familiar with TV shows or comedy shows.
Yes.
So do you have to be funny?
No. The funny comes out just in the course of a natural conversation. It's not about one-liners and punchlines and doing jokes and all the things that they do so brilliantly on Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah. Yeah.
Those guys have been together for 20 some years, working with each other, knowing the nuances and every little facial expression. That's not something that's really easy to pick up.
Yeah. Yeah. That
By
comes
the
with
same
time.
token, improv is one of the easiest things in the world to do. It doesn't take a lot of experience to have a conversation in real time, in the moment, knowing that you can't make any mistakes, there are no wrong answers, there's nothing to remember, there's nothing to memorize, and at the end of the scene or the skit or whatever we do, we move on to the next one because that's done. And at my age, boy, is that a blessing. Oh,
Right. Right.
where did we start that? See, there's two forms of improv. There's long form, which can go on for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, even longer.
Oh
And
my
you're
goodness.
referring back to things that you did 20 minutes ago. Well, I can't remember things I did 20 minutes ago. But there's short form improv, which is much shorter kinds of things that maybe take a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then we're done. And we
Fun.
move
Yeah.
on to
Yeah.
the next.
Yeah.
That's what improv is about. It's about being real in the moment, listening carefully, and validating your partners.
Low risk, high return, good listening skills, give and take. That sounds so, what a wonderful experience to be with a group of people and have that.
And boy, I wish I'd been able to say that in as few words as you just did.
We come from it at from different angles though. I love it. So what is special about improv for you? And you may have just said it right there.
I have always wondered what it is because I've been a storyteller as well. And I've been all the three things in my life that are meaningful to me have all converged in this one giant passion.
Ah,
It's been storytelling, started when I was very small, just because it was more creative to tell a story than it was to tell the truth.
perfect for a 4-year-old.
Yes, the creative dramatics improv, which was play,
Yeah, yeah.
storytelling, which also has a component of play, and Toastmasters, public speaking, which
Oh,
also has a component, they all have the component of connecting emotionally to other people.
mhm.
All these three converge on that in that space. And I found that when I was working with this group of women who were my age, and we all had these great common experiences of things that dated all the way back to the 1950s, and we're now old enough to laugh about them.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, here was something that was irresistible to take out into the world as I have taken storytelling out into the world and make that emotional connection with other people, especially women our age, in the prime of our lives, still having great energy and lots of curiosity. And what do we do with it? Because all the other groups seem to be taken care of by a lot of people, but women beyond the age of 50, not so much that's fun.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that,
and so many women 50 and older feel like they're not seen,
yeah,
right? And so here's an opportunity to see one another.
Exactly. And
Mm.
be invisible to everybody else at the
Yeah,
same
right.
time, which
Exactly.
works really in our favor a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Because invisibility can be a superpower as well.
That's true. That's
Yes.
true because
Hmm.
cloaks of invisibility have gotten
Yeah.
characters quite far in the plot line, haven't they?
Yes, they have. They have. But, and I remember a couple of years ago when it wasn't so much, my life wasn't so much fun. And then I started doing the improv with people my own age. And I remember hearing the sound of my own laughter for the first time. Even, I still can't really tell you what it was like, except that it was the most amazing sound. And then feeling it inside. And that's an experience I can bring to other people.
That gives me chills, Emily, when you say that,
Yeah.
because for many people at midlife, it may feel like you're in a rut. You have lost, not lost the ability, but to rediscover what makes you happy,
Mm-hmm.
what makes you laugh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what brings you joy. Oh yes, I am that person. I can be in that moment. And to when you said you for the first time heard yourself laugh.
Yes. And it was startling. Where is that coming from? And then I realized it was coming from me, and it's like, oh, this is gold.
Big medicine.
This is gold. And yeah, and that was when I really dedicated myself to really following it and reaching out to as many people as I can. And that's what I continue to be in the process of doing now. And it just gets better and better. And play is back full time. When you're a
Give me more
storyteller,
on that. Tell me more about that.
when you're a storyteller and you're telling stories, you have to be playful or your audience, because telling a story and not having that playfulness and that energy and being able to connect, especially if you're working with children,
Mm, mhm.
um, they're they're gone. They're on to 17 other things. So bringing the play in and really moving, and the movement and the songs and the improv, and watching how kids just are so startled that an old lady can do that stuff. What, who is she, what? But I had programs, storytelling programs, where I would go into elementary schools and do programs to help kids, many of whom were not, English was not their first language, and
Oh,
get them
interesting.
involved in improvisational exercises, just to get them moving and not being so concerned about the words. And yet they learned how to speak English better because now it was play again.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
So these were where I was getting my clues that there's a great value in play. And as I moved up the aging stream, I kept finding people, just a few at a time, but who were still very playful and having a wonderful time. Whether or not they were physically as able as they once were,
Mm, mhm.
mentally and emotionally, they were still kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's how and it's just kept building over the years, and especially these 2 years when play is a real wonderful commodity to have in your toolbox.
No kidding. Yeah,
Because,
yeah. Because it's
yeah,
been a heavy time
it has
and lonely for some people.
very and isolating.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
When you come in, and thank goodness for Zoom and other virtual platforms, because they have made it possible for us to reach out to people we haven't connected with in a long time and just get together and laugh. My class on Sunday afternoons is an hour long, and from the start to finish, we're laughing.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're sharing just everyday things that have happened. And that's where the humor comes out. when you're sharing something that happened to you and somebody had a similar experience, uh, just washing the dishes
Mhm.
and listening to the radio and hearing this and starting to dance, and then we all wanted to dance and do the dishes differently, and it just we're not going to the moon, we're not going to Mars, we're not even going usually around the corner anymore, but just to have these common experiences shared puts a whole different meaning to them.
Mm, mhm.
And because everything just comes out, and the more you do improv, the more you begin to trust your instincts, is that when you're listening, you can listen to everything your partner says, because at the end of what they say, they might totally do a pivot and you've got to be there.
Yeah.
But because you've learned enough, just in taking even a few classes, that whatever they say, you got something
Mhm.
to go with it and match. And that's when the laughs come,
Yeah, yeah.
because you didn't know what you were going to say. And yet it was just fit.
It's that sounds like, when you in talking about benefits of improv for women in their prime,
Mhm.
that lightening up, um,
Yes.
even, finding their voices,
Yes.
and that there's no mistakes to make. It's a safe
So it's the
space.
safest play. It's a real priority, set up a safe place for everyone.
Mm, mhm.
Because if you're not used to hearing someone else's laughter, you can be misconstrued. So,
Oh, good point. Yeah.
so you have to make sure that we're on a level playing field, and and that's where the yes and is very important,
Mhm,
because you're not negating anything that anybody else says. You accept it, and then you
mhm,
build with it, and
mhm,
then you go on, and then you forget about it.
mhm.
And if it didn't come out exactly the way you wanted it to, well, so what? What does? But it's more important to, here's what we like to say, it's more important to be present than perfect.
Yeah.
Do you realize the weight that comes off? The weight of that needing to be perfect and getting it just right?
Mm,
It's so liberating
I'll bet.
just to have that feeling, for the first time, certainly, but then to know how to bring it back. And it's just by letting go of the word no. Just.
Mm.
I know a story. I used to tell this wonderful story. And on the other side of the word just is a miracle. So just do it. Just let go. Just give it up. Just forget about it. Those are miracles.
Yes,
Forgetting
they
about
are.
something,
Yeah, yeah.
letting it go. Don't worry about it. Just. So when I listen for the word just, I'm always expecting that miracle on the other side of the word. Think about it.
I love it. Oh,
Anyway, it's a great story.
improv philosophy.
Well, that's the other thing. I'm not teaching improv skills to performers. And I'm teaching it more of a self-care, because, it takes us longer to take care of ourselves. We need more
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So if you're doing it with a group of people, it's still self-care, and it's fun, and we laugh, and it gets everything moving inside.
Mhm.
So it's more of a mindfulness practice.
Oh, wow. Yeah, yeah.
And I've always seen it that way, because I've been um, doing whatever it's been called now. It's mindfulness, before mind, body, spirit, before it was something else, but it's always been there. And I started reading my first yoga book when I was 11. I've been involved in that world, that belief system of
Mhm,
mind, body, spirit connection.
mhm,
And the emotional piece of that is what connects us to each other. And so it's a mindfulness connect, because it's a connector between people.
mm, mhm.
So
How many, so you've been doing, the program for a
over two
couple of
years,
years now.
every Sunday, just about
What
every Sunday.
what do, um what kind of reactions, first, are there women who've been with you for in the program for the whole duration? Um, and what do what do they tell you they're getting out of the experience?
There, they didn't think, first of all, I know one of my friends said she didn't think it would work on Zoom.
Yeah,
I
I'm surprised
and
myself.
it is because you can have real intimate moments, like of sharing something you share. There's this one game called Giving a Gift. There are many ways to give a gift. When you give it in person, you're giving, you've got an imaginary object which you're giving to somebody else. But yet, when you're doing it on Zoom and you're looking at the object and you're saying, "Well, I found this at the at an antique store. It just reminded me of you, the colors. It's a it's a globe and it has a flower inside, a beautiful purple flower just sort of coming out. I just thought of you and I want you to have it." And you pass it over and that person takes it and they said, "Oh, this is beautiful. Thank you. I will, I'm going to put it right here on my desk so I can always look at it." I mean, there's an intimacy I never thought possible. And others pick up on this really connecting. They feel like sometimes just I've always had to think about what I was going to say before I said it. And when I came into your improv class, I was listening for when it was going to be my turn and I wasn't really paying attention. But after a few weeks of feeling uncomfortable about that, I just started to let that stuff go and just listen and then say the first thing that came into my head. And it didn't matter what it was okay because I couldn't make a mistake.
Mhm, mhm.
One of my dearest friends, who is my storytelling mentor, has been taking improv. She's been coaching me for 20 years in storytelling. And when I started this group, she came on. She suffered in the last 2 years a stroke, um, uh, a mastectomy, heart disease, and
Oh
all.
my,
And she cannot get around very much. But the hour of improv class every week lightens her whole week.
I'll bet.
She looks forward to it every week. I get a lot of that. It just lights up my whole week. And it lights up mine
Mhm, mhm.
too, because I get to share this wonderful gift that I finally discovered what I could do with it after all these years, really put it to a specific purpose. And it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I'm the happiest I've ever been. And it's just a long time ago, I was told I was a light giver, and I never knew what that meant until I started teaching improv. And then I knew what it meant.
Wow.
Because light, in every sense of the word light,
Mhm, mhm.
is what this is for me. And it's received in that way too.
Well, so you had mentioned to me, I mean, clearly you have a gift because you recently won an award.
I did.
Tell me
I
about
did.
that.
I take an improv class with a public speaking online university. And less than just under 2 years ago, they started to have an improv class. They have two expert improvisers teach it. It's twice a month. And this year, I won the award for being the most all in member of the improv class.
I love it. I love it.
And I've rarely gotten awards. I've never gone after them. So I haven't received many. I had no big, that's not a big
Yeah, yeah.
mental um, jump. But This one, when I received it, I thought, my first thought was, oh, they've noticed me. Boy, have they.
I guess
Yes.
so, huh?
And yeah, I'm getting a lot of mileage out of that award. It's
Yeah.
Stage Time University. I'll mention their name, stagetimeuniversity.com. It's great for public speakers. It's great for anybody who is a wedding officiant, any kind of public speaking.
Cool.
Improves their performance, and it's founded by a Toastmasters world champion of public speaking in 2001, Darren LaCroix, and all of his coaches, because you come into the weekly program and you get members get coached on
Mhm.
different ways they're presenting. They're all world class coaches, world
Wow.
class public speakers,
Yeah.
and they know what they're doing, and they're extremely, extremely generous.
Oh, that's great.
And
That's
yeah,
great. So you've had opportunities to grow as a student
oh,
and as a coach as well.
oh, absolutely. And the
Right.
coaching, of course, has helped with my improv, with my Toastmasters training, because one of the things that I do for the other members is when they give speeches, evaluations turned out to be the thing I did best. And now I'm coaching and mentoring,
Oh,
because
wow. Yeah.
that's the role I have as an officer in my club. And it's the best thing I've ever done.
I one of the things that as I've aged, um, the doing is fun and success has been important, but as I get older, that mentoring, teaching
Yes.
role has become more important to me. Uh, uh, I guess I view it as my time to give back,
Mhm.
you know?
Yes. And yes, and I have never had my own children, but I figure there's a balance there, because I feel like over the years of being involved with storytelling and children, that I've had everybody else's children for about 2 hours. So that gives me a nice
Mm,
balance.
mm,
And giving back and sharing and doing the legacy thing is
mm.
what I'm very heavily into. And now, thank goodness, I have found out what it is that my life is about. I'm no longer confused. And it's that light beam is shining in one strong direction for me. And that's what I'm following.
Yeah.
So I understand that it's time for us to, as we age, as we de- develop more and more wisdom and understand it, it becomes a great honor to pass it along to the next generation.
Sounds like being able to connect the dots
Yes.
is incredibly, uh, it's probably, I would say connecting the dots looking back is very important, for anybody. And you've been able to connect some dots throughout your life.
I have, and in the last couple years, a lot of things have come to me that I've heard before, but I never really heard them. And a lot of the times it's in movies.
Uh-huh.
I was watching a movie soon after I started teaching improv, actually. It was the movie Camelot. At the beginning of the movie is the end of the movie, really. And
Yeah.
the whole movie's a flashback. And there is one of my favorite movie stars, Richard Harris, on the screen, looking right at me through the camera, looking at me through the ages. And he's about to go into battle the next morning with his son. And he's just trying to get a handle on his life. And he's looking for Merlin to explain his life to him. And it's very dark. It's not quite dawn yet. He knows he's going into battle, and he says to no one in particular, because he hasn't found Merlin yet, he says, If I'm to die in battle in the morning, please, please don't let me die bewildered. Bewildered. Ah, I wrote the word down
Mhm.
and I looked at that word and I saw that there was another word in bewildered. And it was be wilder.
Wow.
And I went, yes. And in that moment, my whole life made sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
My the whole journey, as King Arthur's journey unfolded in the flashback all the way back, he did reconnect with Merlin, and Merlin took him all the way back to the beginning. And that's what I did. In a nanosecond,
Wow.
my life made sense. And from that moment on, I'm no longer bewildered, but I be wilder. Yes.
I love that. So if somebody wanted to be a part of the Spirited Fun Improv program,
Mhm.
is it a months long commitment? Is it a drop in? How, tell me a little bit about the,
It
the
well,
structure of it.
I'm starting new classes in mid-May, I hope.
Okay.
I'm trying to find a place to have in-person classes. I'm
Oh, yeah.
currently teaching through Osher in Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
and I will be starting my own series of classes aside from the Sunday class is a closed group pretty much because we all started 2 years ago, and although people have come and gone, there's mostly a core group.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
starting a 6 class series. The first class is free. It's an introductory class. It'll be on Zoom.
Mhm.
If someone likes it, then they can sign up in increments of five classes.
Mhm.
Don't
Mhm.
have to use week after week, can
Got it. Yeah.
take a while. And that's how I'm going to get it started on Zoom. And that's how I'm going to get it started in person.
Mhm.
Now that the restrictions are being limited, at least for the moment, I want to have both
Yeah. Yeah.
because there is a difference between online and in person.
Oh, sure.
And
Sure.
they're both wonderful. And I can actually do them both.
Mm.
And I've applied to some conferences, I've submitted to some places, I've been accepted at some. So I'm, being wilder
You're
has its
being wilder. Yes.
being wilder and out there and unafraid, fearless and invisible when it's a superpower,
Uh-huh.
and very visible when it's a superpower.
Ah, I love it. I think you're a wonderful role model for anybody. I mean,
Thank you.
if for looking ahead and wondering what is one's 60s, 70s going to be like. Well, what do you want it to be like? Just to be able to say yes to it and then
Yes.
yes and.
Yes, and those are the 2 words, just yes and,
Mhm.
because they're the most liberating and positive energy fields you can send out
They
at
really
any
are.
time to anyone.
They really are.
You don't have to be
It's
an
not just for
improviser.
improv.
Hmm?
It's a life it's not just for improv, it's a life philosophy.
It is. And it really will change how anybody will see the world.
Mm, mhm.
Just going from no, but to yes, and
Yeah, yeah, wonderful.